Before we even press play, buckle up, because this is not your typical courtroom hearing. Today's case features a 73-year-old grandmother who doesn't believe the court has authority over her. She calls herself an American state national. She claims she stands above the court. She refuses to sign documents. She insists she was kidnapped and held as a prisoner of war. And she demands, not asks, that the case be dismissed with prejudice before she walks out the door. But here's the twist. The charges stem from something incredibly basic: driving without a license and related offenses. Instead of entering a plea, she launches into a full-scale sovereign ideology script involving trusts, secret treasury accounts, religious doctrine, and fee schedules she plans to charge the police. This hearing becomes less about traffic violations, and more about a collision between fringe legal theories and actual courtroom procedure. Watch closely as the judge listens patiently, shuts down jurisdiction arguments, and refuses to entertain conspiracy claims. The big question is, will her strategy help her case, or dig the hole deeper? Let's get into it.
Talk with Ms. Lucia.
She is unrepresented, Your Honor.
Okay, you're not representing her.
That's correct.
Okay. All right, we called a case of 22-239. Margaret Bruno, is it Lucia?
This is who you're calling right here, Your Honor.
Yeah.
Just so we're clear, I'm representing the, authorized representative for the legal fiction. And I cannot cross the bar if you. I talk about
I can hear you. Can you hear me okay?
I can, yeah.
All right.
It's not as sophisticated as my hearing aids, but I can hear you this time.
All right.
All right, I just want to be clear that when I was here for the arraignment, first off, I never had a first appearance. Within 24 hours, I was incarcerated for 13 days without a first appearance. Bond was set.
And that's true because you wouldn't sign the documents at the jail. Until you sign documents at the jail, you don't.
Where is that written that you have to sign anything? Because I couldn't find it. It just simply says within 24 hours I would go before a judge. I had
you
felony
weren't properly
charges.
booked, so that's the way that was. But I'm not going to argue with your point. But go ahead.
Okay, well, I just want to get it on the record that I am here on a special appearance, and I'm just the authorized representative for this birth certificate. It has been federally authenticated. If you want to take a look at it, it has been certified by the state and federally authenticated. I am the owner of this SQQV. Do you understand what that means?
Not a clue.
Okay. It means that I'm not in your jurisdiction. I stand on the land and soil. I'm under the public law.
Okay.
And I have a right to pass through service.
All right, so I take it you're representing yourself today?
No, I am presenting myself.
Okay. So you're not going to enter a plea today or work out negotiations or anything?
I'm not making any plea whatsoever. I have not consented to contract with this court in any way.
Okay.
I'm an American state national. I'm not a sovereign citizen. That was a hate crime under which I was arrested, and the arresting officer has since quit his job with the Jasper Police Department.
All right, well, state we can...
I have a file here that I have one prepared for both the prosecutor and for you, Judge, if you'd like to take a look and go along with me on what I'd like to bring before the court. My goal is that this case get dismissed with prejudice before I walk out today.
Well, that's not going to happen.
Pow!
All right, well, here's what we're going to do today. I'll look this over for you.
This file is not completed. Let me explain. All the highlighted areas, I met with the clerk of court, Greg Godwin, and the areas that were in yellow here, I expected that he would be able to provide the information for me to complete these documents. I am not able to mail them until I can get them completed. He suggested that I talk with, is it John Durham, or who is it, Durant? Am I getting that correct, Tabitha?
That's Mr. Durrett, the state attorney.
Durrett, okay. He suggests that I should talk with him as far as getting this information completed. He said he wasn't able to complete the information, otherwise I can hire somebody to get this information for me. So if this case is not going to be submitted, but the first letter in here is a fair notice and warning letter, and it speaks to what the issues are here. First off, it was a false arrest because I do have a right to travel. No, and then also there is no contract. The application for a driver's license does not tell anybody that you are trading a God-given right for a privilege.
Let's pause right here and break something down. The claim that there is no victim, therefore there is no crime, is one of the most common sovereign-style arguments. But legally, that's not how criminal law works. Many offenses, especially traffic and licensing violations, are considered public safety statutes. The victim is the state or the public at large. Driving without a valid license isn't about harming a specific person. It's about regulatory compliance designed to ensure safety standards are met. She also argues there is no contract with the court. But criminal jurisdiction does not depend on consent. If you are physically present in a state and allegedly violate its laws, the court has jurisdiction. Period. So here's the real question for you. Do you think she genuinely believes this legal theory works, or is this a strategy to overwhelm the system with paperwork and delay? Drop your thoughts below. Now let's see how this continues.
Victim in this crime because I have a right to face an accuser, and there's nobody here that was harmed. Deprivation of due process, Your Honor. You denied me a first appearance, and I have not heard the charges because I am hard of hearing. I brought that to the attention of the court at the arraignment, and your comment was simply, I'm talking as loud as I can. Well, that doesn't do any good for somebody who has a disability, and you have a responsibility to me under the Americans with Disabilities Act. So up until, I still haven't really heard the charges. You know, when it started out, I was slammed with 7 felony charges. Had a violation of my Fourth Amendment rights because they did a search and seizure of my vehicle. They tossed my car completely. He claimed he found the phone in my car. He didn't. He took it out of my hand after shoving my arm. That was assault and battery. And then when I got into the police vehicle, my keys were in my pocket. He took them out of my pocket. All right, that again is assault and battery, and also could be considered. Prosecutor Travis Munden did not act for 8 days. He allowed me to sit in jail for 8 days with felony charges hanging over my head, of which you put a $38,000 bond on me without my participation. Again, that was a violation or deprivation of due process. The felony charges were bogus. I'm an international notarial witness for the United States of America, unincorporated. I had those, driver's license on my phone and birth certificates because I do remote notarization for people. I had a right to have that. I had it by permission of the people that sent it to me. The prosecutor, Dana Brady Giddens, she failed to act for 6 days. On July 1st, Travis transferred it from the felony side over to misdemeanors. She sat on it for 6 days. I sat in jail for 13 days, not even knowing what was going on. And it wasn't until after I got out of jail and I called her, and while I was on the phone, she goes, "Oh, here it is." She asked me what my name was, and she goes, "Oh, here it is," and she opened it while I was on the phone. So Travis sat on it for 7 days. Whatever happened to due process? Don't they have a responsibility to act timely? Because I know I do. I was kidnapped and taken to a prisoner of war camp. I had no choice in this, and I'm an American. I'm an American state citizen. I stand above this court. I stand above this for-profit corporation. First time that I saw you, sir, was 44 days after my arrest. And again, my Americans with Disabilities Act rights were violated in that you made no accommodation at all for my not being able to hear you. So as far as I know, I never did put in a plea. I have not pled in any way whatsoever. I have not consented. I have signed absolutely nothing. I signed no citations. I have had communication with Tabitha and Dana. We have been writing back and forth on our 72 rule of response, and I can't get answers out of them. They keep telling, I ask for documentation, and all I get is no documents responsive, no documents responsive, over and over again. I ask her for her oath of office on Florida letterhead, nothing. I get a scrap of paper. I ask her for a signed contract on my side, I get a citation that's not signed. The citation wasn't even signed by the arresting officer, it's by somebody else, and it has comments in it that says I said something, and I would appreciate I being ignored by the court. So anyway, I didn't sign anything. I have not contracted with this court. I haven't contracted at all. And why? Because I don't need to. I'm not under these statutes, rules, regulations, codes, ordinances, mandates, and all the rest. I tried to explain that to the public defender here that you assigned to talk to me. And he basically, everything out of his mouth came out right out of this hate crime document called Law Enforcement Guide to Sovereign Citizens. I'm not a Moor. I'm not a Waukesha Nation. I'm an American state citizen.
Okay.
To call somebody a sovereign citizen is slander. To put it in writing is libel. Sovereign is a king, somebody who is governing, self-governing. Citizen is somebody who works for another. It's an oxymoron.
You got the moron part right.
I'm a private living woman. My responsibility is to balance the accounts of the public, the public all caps name, and to keep the public charitable trust in balance. Roosevelt put us on an all debit system, and these credits have been stolen from the people. And all I'm trying to do is my responsibility here. So I'm planning to subrogate this. If you look at the second document, or maybe you already have, and you've seen the list of people I will send it to, Governor DeSantis has been involved in my case. I have a letter here that was sent to him. If you would like to see that, let's see, maybe it's in one of the other files. Anyway, he has been involved in this as well, because he is also part of the problem here, in that he is not assisting the Americans within this state to be safe from the harm that is being caused by this system, by the law enforcement officers and deputies who are not educated as to who we are. Sat down, I had noticed both the police chief and the sheriff on 2 different occasions. They have my fee schedule as to what I'll be charging when this is all over, and I have to come back and have my my rights restored and my property restored. My car was towed from in front of the police station. That's where I was when all this happened. I was in talking to Chief Rickerson. I went in and I noticed both the chief and the sheriff, the clerk of court, and the property appraiser when I got here back in March, that I was an American state citizen and I'm not a U.S. citizen. They were both noticed. They've both been noticed twice. And along with that was the fee schedule of what I charge when my rights are violated.
Wow, the land of make-believe.
I was talking with the police chief for the 4th time. We have sat down and had 4 conversations on how we educate the officers to know the difference so people are not harmed on the side of the road. I wasn't even on the side of the road. I was parked in front of the police station when all this went down. I wasn't even in my car. This officer got in my face back in April, and he stood there. I was meeting with the police chief, Chief Rickerson. At that time, he was an interim police chief. And this officer barged into our discussion and got in my face and started spitting on me with his saliva. He was like this close to me, yelling at me, telling me, I'm a police officer for 25 years, and I've dealt with plenty of people like you. And he went on and on and on, okay? No, he hasn't dealt with anybody like me, because I've studied this. Why? Because you could not get through the 2020 election and not know that there's something seriously wrong with this country. And I have seen this coming for many, many years. I studied it with my husband. My husband passed back in 2010.
Talk about dodging a bullet.
In July of 2016, I read an article that the Pope had relinquished our Social Security accounts to the U.S. Treasury, and I knew something had changed, something was up, and I went looking. And when I went looking, I found at least 20 organizations trying to help people come out of slavery, come out of this U.S. citizen's crown, which is the administrative arm, to the Pope, which is the financial arm, and to Washington, D.C., the District of Columbia, which is the military arm of the one world government. Well, I don't go with that, because I serve a king. I serve the Almighty King. That is who I am. I am a child of the King. I'm not a U.S. citizen. I'm a child of the King, and I have rights that were given to me, sovereign rights given to me by my Creator. And I live by the Bible. I don't live by any kind of religion, sir. I read the Bible cover to cover, and I do what it. When it says that there are 2 commandments in the New Testament that Jesus, or Yeshua, I prefer to call him by his Hebrew name, the 2 commandments, to love God above all things and to love your neighbor as yourself, I live by that. But that's a summary of the 10 commandments that are in the Old Testament, Exodus 20. And the first 5 commandments are how you love your Creator. And the second 5 commandments is how you love your neighbor. And I live by that, sir. And this officer had to break several of those commandments to put me into this system. He had to lie, and he had to steal my property. And if this is the system that this government or this for-profit corporation is trying to force on the people, then you guys should all be ashamed of yourself. I am asking, I'm not asking, I am demanding. See, a sovereign does not motion the court. A sovereign demands. I am demanding that this case be dismissed with prejudice because I'm going down for the count. I'll take whatever punishment you give me. And I think my 13 days in jail without signing anything, just for comfort, should give you an idea of the fact that I finish what I start.
This is the turning point. Notice the shift from arguing to demanding. In courtroom procedure, tone matters. Judges are accustomed to emotional defendants, but they respond to structured legal arguments, not declarations of sovereignty. When she says she'll take whatever punishment the court gives her, that's actually revealing. Because despite claiming she stands above the court, she simultaneously acknowledges its power to punish. That contradiction is significant. There's also something important happening underneath the rhetoric. She's describing real discomfort and humiliation from jail, the jumpsuit, the bedding, the cold environment. Those experiences are unpleasant, but they're part of standard booking and detention procedures, not targeted persecution. Refusing to sign intake paperwork often limits access to certain privileges. That's administrative, not conspiratorial. Here's the engagement question. At what point does standing on principle become self-sabotage? Is this conviction, or is this pride escalating consequences? Let's watch how the judge handles the continued demands.
I went into that jail, Your Honor. It was quite a surprise. I wasn't prepared for it. If it hadn't been that I took a couple in who were homeless, I probably would have ended up going home to a dead dog in a house full of crap. But that gentleman, the people that I took in who were homeless, called my girlfriend and said she didn't come home last night. Well, my girlfriend knew that I was on my way to the post office in Live Oak, and she knew I was going to stop by and talk to the sheriff. So first call she made was to the Suwannee County Jail. Second call was to the Hamilton County Jail, and she found me. I was sitting in jail. I've never been in trouble with the law before. Do you know what it's like for a 73-year-old woman to have to stand there and take her underwear off and stand in front of somebody else? That was so humiliating. You want to talk about rights? Let's just talk about basic humanity here. And I was given an orange jumpsuit. I don't look good in orange at all. I have to bring some humor so I can stop crying. I wore that jumpsuit in my underwear for 13 straight days.
That's nasty.
Because I wouldn't sign your paperwork, because I would not come in contract with this corporation, this for-profit corporation. You're not a government, let's be honest. Because I wouldn't come in contract with you, I suffered extremely.
Kinda sounds like you're suffering at the hands of your own demise, Karen. And I, for one, don't feel sorry for you at all.
I was 3 days in a row, I asked for a sweatshirt. I was freezing. You got a swamp cooler in that jail. It's loud and it's cold. And every guard was wearing a jacket and every inmate had a sweatshirt except for me. 3 days I asked for a sweatshirt. On the 4th day when I asked, the guard said, "You don't sign out paperwork, you don't get nothing." Yeah, that's real sweet. There's a camera right above the toilet. Yeah, that's real sweet. You're sleeping on a steel bed. When I went and signed their paperwork, they gave me a mattress where the fabric was touching fabric. I have a 9-inch spread, thumb to little finger, and I can tell you that the padding of that mattress lay within a lump 12 inches by 30 inches. The very first day in holding, I had a bruise on my tailbone sitting on a steel bed. You know, I'm used to a mattress and I have a memory foam topper on top of it. I like it sweet. About drinking water for 13 days. I drink on average almost a gallon a day. My dog and I consume a gallon a day. You get coffee in the morning, you get Kool-Aid for lunch and dinner, and you get absolutely no water. And the only water coming out of the faucet in the bathroom is hot water. Okay, this is inhumane. I was tortured for my faith. Why would I say that? Because according to Revelation 18:4, it says, "Come out of her, my people. I am one of his people." And that Revelation 18 is all about Babylon. And yes, I did the paperwork to come out of this Babylonian system. Matthew 6:24 says, "I can't serve two masters." Well, who gets the taxes? Who gets the first tithe? The government grabs it right out of your paycheck. You don't have a choice. Steals it right from God. We don't get to give God our first fruits. I don't know what your faith is, but that's my faith. I serve the mighty Creator. It was very boring. They had some books, and I was reading on average 400-page novels every single day. But on the 5th day, the guards came in and took all the books out, so I had nothing I could read. And then the girls gave me some paper. I had 3 sheets of paper. I started writing and writing and writing, front and back, as small as I could. And when I ran out of those 3 sheets of paper, the girls in the cell on the other side started giving me paper. Why? Because I befriended them. We talked about our Savior. We talked about why we were there. I wasn't preaching. I don't preach. But I shared with them that, you know, they got themselves in trouble. And the first thing they need to do is straighten out their lives and get right with their Creator. Because if they can do that, the rest will fall in place. That's what I spent those 13 days doing. Trying to be a big sis or a mom to those other girls who have lost their way along the way. 5 of the girls in that prison or jail recommitted their lives to God while I was there. And I'm very happy for them, and I continue to pray for them. I want you to know, sir, that I pray for you also. I pray for every one of you because I pray that the Father will take the veil off your eyes so you can see what's really going on here. I don't know what you know. I have no idea what you know, but I know exactly how it works, and I know about the security bond, and I know how you have hit my SQQB trust, and that's what this subrogation is of that bond. Because I'll be filling out all the IRS forms. If this case is not dismissed with prejudice today, or I'll give you 3 days as it says in the document.
Oh, you don't have to wait 3 days. He denied your motion to dismiss at the beginning of this video. So carry on, Karen.
If it's not dismissed with prejudice, then what I plan to do is fill out these IRS forms and make sure that the account that I am responsible for, I, the private woman, is responsible for the accounting of the public woman, or the all caps name that y'all have fraudulently created. And I mean, when I say y'all, take it professionally. You obviously weren't there when I was born. But anyway, the point is, sir, that I do feel the responsibility now that I understand how all of this works, that it's my job to apply those credits to the debits. It's my job to make sure that those funds are not taken multiple times or above and beyond what's necessary. And so that's what this subrogation document. Pay attention, sir, to the list on this document of the people that the distribution list. You see, I have notified the state's attorney. I came out of the system back in April of 2018. And when I moved to Hamilton, I was in Jacksonville at the time. When I moved to Hamilton, I redid my paperwork. So on the public record in this county, I have 2 filings with all my paperwork showing that I am an American, I'm not a U.S. citizen. I have an act of expatriation. I have a deed of reconveyance. I have a cancellation of all power of attorney. I have an assumed names that gives me a copyright and a registration on all of my names.
Okay,
You
Mr.
can't
Chair.
make money on my names. And then if you'll notice on this list here, the state's attorney the state's attorney, the attorney general, were all notified back in 2018 I'm American. Why they didn't notify y'all, I don't know. But why I'm being persecuted, I don't appreciate. It's here because you have deprived me of my rights. I have also included the Judicial Qualification Commission as well as others. So, I yield.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you commenting. So what we'll do is, all I'm gonna do right now is continue to October 18th to see what's.
I can't do that, sir. I will be at the Feast of Tabernacles from the 1st of Tishri, which is September 26th, until Let me think, what is it?
What we just watched is a textbook example of sovereign-style courtroom strategy colliding with established legal procedure. The defendant repeatedly argued lack of jurisdiction, absence of contract, religious sovereignty, and secret financial trust theories. None of those arguments directly addressed the actual charges, which appear to stem from licensing and compliance violations. The judge did not validate the jurisdictional claims. Instead, he continued the case. Which means the matter remains active and unresolved. That's key. Continuances are procedural scheduling tools, not victories. And when she states she doesn't plan to attend future hearings, that opens the door to potential failure to appear consequences, something that could dramatically escalate the situation. The broader takeaway? Courts operate on statutory law, not personal belief systems. You can challenge evidence. You can argue constitutional violations. But rejecting jurisdiction entirely without recognized legal basis rarely ends well. If you found this case as shocking as we did, make sure to hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments, especially whether you think this approach ever works, and don't forget to subscribe for more jaw-dropping courtroom breakdowns.